Now we're going to look at how to cut out silences and mistakes in your Audacity recording, and that's what helps you do your topping and tailing, or to cut out anything that really needs removed from the show. So I've got here a demo recording, which is a kind of example of introducing the podcast that I run called Podcraft. There's a couple of mistakes in here, deliberately done, obviously. Don't make mistakes in the intro usually, much. So I'll show you what this sounds like. So first of all, we do the top and the tail. Now that is just cutting off the silence at the very start. So let's go back to the very start. I'm going to click to make sure I'm at the very start, press the play button. Welcome to Podcraft. Okay, now you can tell there's a bit of silence there. There's a wee kind of click as I move my tongue before speaking. So that's what I want to cut out. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, zoom tool top right here. And what I'm going to do is just click play here. Now, if you click in this bar at the top with the numbers, that's actually a quick play feature. So you click there and it'll play from that point, like so. Welcome to Podcraft. So that's quite a useful tool. The other way to play quite quickly is to click in the timeline. So if I click there, you'll see a line appears there. That's the playhead appears there. Press space. Welcome to, and it plays from that point. And I can press space again to stop. And I use space a lot actually. It's a very quick way of playing and stopping. But I know now, having listened and watched the playhead move across. Welcome to Podcraft. See that playhead moving? I know that the real show starts here. So I'm going to click and drag, just as if I'm in a Word document or something, click and drag to highlight that area, and then press the delete button on the keyboard. Okay, now play. Welcome to Podcraft. And we can see that that starts right at the start now. Welcome to Podcraft. This is the show all about podcasting from... All right, let's start that. Oh, but see, I made a mistake. So I need to cut out that mistake as well. So let's find out where the real show starts. Let's play from here. There's a gap here, which indicates maybe that was where I stopped, paused, and restarted. Hey, and welcome to Podcraft. Yeah, so that's where it actually starts. So to cut out that whole mistake, I just click, drag to highlight, right back to the start, and then press the delete key. And now if I press space. Hey, and welcome to Podcraft. This is the show all about podcasting, from launching your show to monetization and everything in between. My name... Okay, so that sounded fine, but there's a space here. You can see there's a gap. You can see visually that there's a pause here. And when you're listening through, you can also hear that I paused there to think what to say next. That's something worth removing. So all again I do is click and drag to highlight. I leave a bit of space either side. I can see there's a wee bit of noise there. So there's obviously maybe the end of a breath or something. So I'll bring it a wee bit further this way. So that looks about right to me. Maybe bring it a touch closer. You can see that if I hover the pointer over the edges of this highlight, you can adjust it. And just to make sure, I'm using the selection tool up here. That's the tool we're using for the selection here. It's the eye-shaped icon up here. So I've highlighted that. I'm going to press delete on the keyboard. And then I can press play here. In between. My name's Colin, and that sounds okay. So I'd probably play around with that a little bit. It's a wee bit abrupt. I would play around with it if I was doing a proper show, but good enough for demonstration. So let's do the tail to finish up here of the show. Okay, so that was... so you can see that right here is the end. So I'm going to click, highlight to the end, press delete, and then we'll just test it. Host of the show. Excellent. So that's us topped it, we've tailed it, and we've cut out a mistake as well, and a bit of silence there too. That's how you do that in Audacity using the selection tool.